Alright, so, another week, another time to pretend that we're doing this on a Monday, because that's when this airs.
Yeah.
So, we got on there. Okay, so Mr. Josh, what do you got going on this week? Anything exciting?
Moving.
The
whole week is a blur. Everything has just been packing, moving. I'm very tired.
Moving is probably one of the worst experiences that you can...
Yeah.
Like, no matter what your social status, moving is just like... No, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest pain.
Did you procrastinate a lot? Because I did. Like, I found every reason not to have to pack my stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, there are those days where you just, like, pack maybe, like, 2-3 boxes, and you're like, yeah, I think this is enough for today. I'm just gonna lay down.
You're like, I need to make this
Just
toast.
Yeah, but I have my Mountain Dew voltage, and it's keeping me alive.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Powering neckbeards for centuries.
Yeah, exactly. So.
We have all that. Okay, was that it? That's pretty much. I would imagine that's pretty much it. Like, it sounds like not much, but
no, I mean I started listening to Welcome to Night Vale, so.
Okay, yeah, you know, it's a podcast, right?
Yeah, it's a podcast.
Yeah. All right, so say I'm educated. That's a podcast that I hear a lot about, and I've heard a lot about for a while now. That like I never checked out, but like I hear so much about it. But as I've mentioned before, it's one of those things where it comes down to. When things get overhyped for me, or if I hear too much about it, I almost like pull a really hipster move and then throw it on the back burner on purpose, and I'm just like, nope, now I'm not going to check it out.
Not yet.
So there's that, but I am.
No, it's been entertaining.
That's it? Oh, right. Miss Mallory?
Well, I watched Fifth Element today, which is a very underrated movie.
Is it underrated? I was going to fight with you on that, because I feel like that critically acclaimed movie that everyone's seen at least once is not underrated.
That because, like, I'll talk to people, and they're like, I've never even heard of that movie. And I'm like, wait, are you serious? And they don't even know Bruce Willis is in it.
Are your friends 12?
No, I don't know how old these kids are. They're probably like in their 20s. But the fact that
probably,
they have it...
give or take, somewhere between 12 and 20.
So, like, I'm playing with a group on Xbox, and they don't, like, I don't know how old these people are.
Since they're on Xbox, now the threshold has gone from 11 to 55. So now you're really, playing the numbers.
I've talked to, like, people at my work, and they're, like, they don't know what that movie is. I make references to it all the time, and they don't know what it is, and I'm like...
So couldn't they just be lame?
They could be, but I feel like it's just like an underrated movie. Me and my brother-in-law were talking about
just wondering why you keep flaunting that multi-pass.
Multi-pass.
And then I played Destiny. I got the new bow, which took way too long.
Was Destiny underrated too?
Shut up.
Go.
Then I worked a lot. Yeah, that's about it. Learned about Team Trees. That was cool.
This is the fastest week recap we've ever done. It's almost like we have people that are about to join us in a second.
You would think that there's something else.
It's almost as if. I don't think we've ever wrapped up anything this fast. It's maybe been like 5 minutes. Usually I'm still talking about some game no one's heard of.
So how's your week been?
Speaking of talking about games no one's heard of. So anyways, I was just going through this with the spin-off podcast that hasn't aired yet, so this makes no sense in the timeline that's going to air. But I basically just droned on about. I think I talked about this in the last episode. There's not really most point or me going on too much about it, but just talk about how I played Deadly Premonition, Sinking City, and then now I'm starting Witcher 3. It's like my struggle to try to play a game that's less than 30 hours long is like this ridiculous thing. Like Deadly Premonition, 0 side quests, 30 hours. Sinking City, 0 side quests, 30 hours.
Like
Witcher, even with 0 side quests, I'm probably going to hit like at least 80 in Witcher. Like without the expansions and no side quests, like it's going to be like an 80-hour playthrough. So that's what I get. And then it also doesn't help that a lot of the games I play... So, The Witcher 3 is a really underrated game that won over 100 Game of the Year awards. But, what I will say... No, but one thing I was going to say about it is The Witcher 3 is a really weird game where it's certainly far from underground or underrated because it was like... Even though it's mostly the Witcher game everyone finally heard of, I got into it during 2.
Yeah.
But when 3 came out, it's the one that blew the series up.
Yeah, it slowly crept into the spotlight.
It did. However, and I know a lot of people who know The Witcher 3. No one I know has really played it but me. I feel like I'm still the only person who's played it. Everyone owns it.
I own it.
I don't.
You own it. You don't own it.
I don't own it. Do you have it on physical copy?
Yeah, and it's for
Physical
Xbox,
copies.
my glorified Blu-ray player.
Your glorified Blu-ray player? My dusty doorstop. I feel bad. Well, then again, my PS4 has a lot of dust on it too now.
Because like my reason for it was just all like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this for the console that I don't socialize on, so that nobody bothers me online when I'm playing it.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much it this week. So yeah.
Cool.
Speaking of cussing. We have some assuming the line hasn't cut off yet by now, we have a terrible segue to our two guests this week. We have good old Shubzilla and Bill Beats on the line. How are y'all doing?
What?
Hey, we're good.
I was really worried the line would just cut out, and I was like, well, this was
They left.
a thing. We were really trying not to. That segment usually goes on for quite a while, so we were trying really hard to not drag that
Caught you
on.
off guard on that one.
Yeah, so there's that one.
We had to go look up what the Fifth Element was. We had never heard of it over here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had no idea what y'all were talking about for like the past 15 minutes.
There you go.
I told you. People don't know about
Yeah,
it.
sarcasm doesn't exist.
Bruce Willie, who the fuck is that?
Don't worry, Mallory. They're totally not kidding. I mean, they totally are kidding. I ruined that joke.
Thanks.
But, yeah. But, yeah, no. How have you guys looking forward to the tour coming? How long is the upcoming leg of the tour going for?
It's like 28 days. So it's a good February length month of shows and music and on the road hijinks.
There you go.
So,
well, you know, that
Yeah.
actually very easily opens it up for one of the things I did want to ask, which is I hear all sorts of stories of like being on the road and stuff like that. Obviously, it's a lot. The traveling obviously takes it out of you. Do you enjoy it overall in the sense of like obviously you do like touring, but is the travel part something you don't enjoy at all, or is it a big part of the experience for you guys?
well, I mean, traveling is like, I want to say 85% of touring, especially when you're like doing it via car, like we all are. And for me, it depends on who you're with. So, like Bill Beats and I, when we go around and tour, I mean, we've worked together, and we've been friends for like 8-9 years now. Yeah. So it's not like there's not much to talk about. There's always something, right?
Well, that's good. No, not awkward road silence.
Yeah, we're not. There are no awkward silences unless one of us is either falling asleep, not behind the wheel.
There you go.
Because that's not how we do. Okay. We are safe. Okay, so, all right, so we're gonna tell that. Okay, we're gonna tell that story right now.
Let's do it.
So our first mini tour. Speaking of traveling adventures, our last stop was in LA, and we're up here in the Seattle metropolitan area, and we decided, all right, we're just gonna go for it, and we're gonna drive nonstop from LA to Seattle. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna take turns. No big deal. It'll be an adventure. It's just I-5, which for those of y'all in the West Coast, you already know I-5 is ho shit. So. I think, what time did we start? Like, we started, like, driving at, like, 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, something like that. We got food.
And
then we were on the road.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. Now, I think our first mistake was leaving at noon, because it was, like, an 18-hour or, like, I'll look it up later, but it's some ridiculous amount of hours, and we didn't get to our respective homes until like 4 or 5 in the morning. I think. Yeah, 4 or 5 in the morning. And the entire time we're just switching back and forth. There were times where we had to like pull over to the road and like power nap for 15 minutes. At one point, I had my contacts, and then like they dried up.
Oh God!
Oh no!
I hate that feeling.
Yeah. Like. Mid-drive.
Oh God!
You know, we were Icarus. We flew too close to the sun, and we're very quickly like put the fuck down. But I think there was, what was it? Was it North California or like North? Not yeah, it was North California where there was all those winding roads and there was construction. There were no lights, all semis, and then us, and like mountains. And I think at one point I turned to Bill Beats and was like, "You need to call your wife." Because this might be the day. This might be the night where like, we don't make it back home. Like,
someone needs to know.
We might not make it. Obviously, we made it to our respective families. We are not ghosts.
I was gonna say,
we're not specters. But yeah, that was I think the most harrowing of drives we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
While we were like, and I do not recommend it. Neither of us really recommend doing any sort of like drive like that. But it wasn't a boring drive. If anything, it was harrowing and nerve-wracking, and
it was just a bad idea.
It was bad. It was not a good idea.
I feel like you guys should make a comic book of this drive.
I know, right?
Yeah, actually.
Coming out of it was like, I'm normally pretty good with driving long distances, but I can do 6 hours straight and be good. But after that, like, I didn't want to drive for like 3 months.
No, I
didn't want to be in a car.
I didn't either.
I believe it.
And then I think right after like we reached our homes, I didn't even really sleep. I think I actually texted you something. I was like, "Hey, remember this innocuous fucking thing that I could have easily texted you like later on today, but somehow I'm doing this now because I'm awake and you probably are." It was what a journey, what a sojourn. Yeah.
The new tour, though, I think we don't have anything more than 5 hours of a drive in between places. There might be something that's a little bit longer, but for the most part, everything's under 5 hours.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yes, I think
easy.
Yep.
Well, speaking of the tour, actually, since you guys do have that Austin stop, I was actually going to talk to the mates about hitting y'all up when you guys go to Austin. So we're only an hour away in the old SATX. So probably swing by and hit y'all up if we should be making that show. So that'll be good times.
Yay!
Good times. That'll be exciting.
Very excited. We played Kitbot Cafe before, so I appreciate their venue. Also, their menu. They have a delightful beverage selection. So.
That's the good stuff. Do you guys ever go to any venues that treat you guys to drinks?
That what?
That treat you guys to kind of a few on the house.
Yeah, most shows, honestly, a lot of times if you're a performing act, not all of them, but sometimes they'll give you drink tickets. Nice.
That's cool.
So,
yeah,
kind of 2 drink tickets per person or something like that, depending on the band, and But I would say probably 90% of shows do that.
That's good.
But then there's always a 10%, or they're like, nope, you got to buy drinks.
Which I don't know. For me, I don't mind either way because it's not. It's very nice and hospitable for them to take us on and all that stuff. So, either way. If we want a drink, we'll have one.
There you go. Yeah. Now, I'm only asking this, it's not to start up a controversy, but only because this has happened to me personally. Have you ever got more slosh than you should have at a show? Now, unless that's just a regular occurrence. Do you have any memories of a show that you went a little too far before your set, that you went a little nuts with the drinking?
No. Because I blacked out.
Well,
so there you go. So to elaborate more on that, for the past several years, we are often attending guests at a local convention here called NorwestCon, and it's the oldest. I believe it's the oldest convention that's still running in the state of Washington. It's heavily based with sci-fi, fantasy, and writing.
Nice.
So there's a little bit about that. We often will play this room party called DEathCon, or DEathCon are the folks that are the group that create it, and they have a fabulous hotel party they do, and we're often some of the musical guests. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things they do is they just treat us to drinks and drinks and drinks and drinks. And so I had one too many drinks, and I don't remember my set. I'm pretty sure I remembered all the lyrics. People seem to be really receptive of me. I do remember going into the crowd and, like, shoving a dude and screaming, like, in this dude's face. And, like, you know, nobody took swings back, so I'm sure I'm, you know, like...
Now for the audience record, for those who don't know, you're a towering what height?
I am a massive 5'4".
Okay, so for those who are, so you're Mallory's height.
So happy.
Height
so
twins.
Short.
So for perspective, those are the scariest people, by the way. Even though my joke was facetious, even when someone is charging you, and it's actually scarier if they're shorter than you. It's just what it is. Just so everyone knows. So I can only imagine, especially that.
I mean that's all I remember. I mean, you know, Bill Beats wasn't upset. So, well, I mean, I remember sitting on one of the near one of the speakers with another drink in my hand and just watching the show, and then thinking to myself, I did go on. I know I did. I had a microphone in my hand at one point, but that was the most lit and faded. I was probably cross-faded, to be honest. But that was the most faded I've ever gotten at any show.
All right, so that makes me feel good that I've done that before too. So okay, so it's all good. See, now my conscience is clear. No, but yeah, no, it's good to know that the set wasn't a disaster, and that's good. But yeah, no, mine, like, I was barely able to, like, play the guitar, apparently. so that was a thing. I made a lot of noise, though. And thankfully I wasn't the only guitarist in the band. So there's that.
It wasn't like a Kurt Cobain thing, though, where, like, you start just wandering around the stage.
No wandering for me.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no.
He's just laying on the stage at that point, being like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, no.
This is my band.
Give me my Red Bull.
Yeah, oh, God, basically. Let's see. Oh, okay, so the latest album, we got Conquest going on. Yeah, I like the imagine they go, there's a play on words with that? What do you mean that there's a play on words with Conquest?
Okay, I just got it.
Did you actually?
Yeah! I can't believe it took for someone to say it. Because I'm just looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's a Donkey Kong reference, cool. I mean, who the fuck doesn't like Donkey Kong? And then now I hear it out loud. Oh my God!
His mind is blown.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's based on the title too, because we sampled DK2 Diddy's Conquest OST. Mm-hmm. So that's all where it comes from. Nice. I don't know if you covered that, but there you go.
Yeah, there you go. No, album's really solid. It's one of those things, too, where it really is a testament to good album artwork, because even though I've heard your stuff before, what drew me to bring my attention to the album coming out was seeing that artwork get posted, and I would just see it, and I'd be like, that's cool. that looks nice. It is a very eye-catching album cover, so it's really, really cool, though. Who did the art for it? Did you guys throw that together, or did you guys have someone put that together for y'all?
Yes, the artwork was done by Daniel Hill of Danji's Designs, and they've done numerous album covers for different folks that we are adjacent to.
Nice.
I think one of his big covers that he's done was the Random album for Mega
Man.
Like the split, or it was like bit and like so that same guy
That's cool.
I've done another album with him. I'm sure we'll do a lot of albums with him in the future. He's actually over in the UK, just really cool.
Cool. Likes
music, so you just reach out to him and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And
that's awesome.
So.
Yeah.
I tell you, man, that's just a testament to like the amazing world we live in when it comes to being able to collaborate like that internationally. Like, that's always just blown my mind that that's like a thing now. Because, you know, I hear about musicians who shoot demos back and forth between several countries and put a song together.
Like dual core.
Like dual core and stuff like that. So it's really, really cool stuff. So, who do you guys rate in the VP seat? No, I'm just joking. We're not gonna get...
I'll give you my take. That's fine. We can go there. So, like, outside of family, because, like, gross beats can literally do no wrong, because of family. I'm looking at Songbot Co. Hold on.
We gotta make sure.
But yeah, that's Chris Sonko and Mozart von Robot. Their past two entries have been incredibly solid, and I think Chris Sonko provides a different style and a different voice than what we're used to hearing in nerdcore hip hop. He is rapping, but he's also doing a lot of like singer songwriter shit, and that's fucking dope. I had the privilege of seeing him live in the Bay Area, and he's a fantastic performer and an excellent like freestyler also.
Nice.
So
freestyling, man, this is good stuff. Oh, that actually reminded me of something I did want to ask you. I almost forgot. So when you do your lyrics, do you do all of them primarily, or do you guys collaborate on lyrics, or is it all Shub or?
So with the songs that are just me and Bill Beats, I'll do pretty much all the writing.
Okay.
And you know, we'll record it, and Bill Beats will often like give us feedback of the cadence sounds different here, or it's awkward here, or I like that, do more of that.
Okay.
Sort of deal. How about this phrasing versus that? Or even just, what are you trying to say?
Depending on the case.
Because sometimes I don't know what I'm trying to say. But, like, for collabs like Carpool Lane with Kadesh Flow, Oh My, and Creative Mindframe, they wrote their own verses because that's what's going to happen. Like,
I think with that song, we gave them a beat, and we were like, here's the beat. Here's the concept, and they were like, "Oh, okay."
Yep, and then we're like, "Oh, yeah, here's Shubs' verse," and they're like, "Say no more." I mean, Carpool Lane is as real as it gets in regards to like how we've done PAX West, because usually a lot of the out of towners, like especially the NPC collective, I will house and feed and take them to and from the convention center, and Carpool Lane is very much a real life, like autobiographical song of what it is to get in the fucking car and all leave somehow on time, if that.
There you go.
So
nice. Nice.
Very introspective. Some people take getting into a car like for granted.
Yeah, it's true. It's good to make it a whole concept on all that. No, that's really cool though, and I think that's the thing that I do enjoy about nerdcore. Not that music genres in general ever chain someone down per se, because there are unique artists of almost every genre and subgenre set. But like when it comes to nerdcore, I mean, especially in the Nerdcore Facebook group, you always see people posting memes about, is this Nerdcore, is it not? Sometimes ironic, sometimes just trying to get some feedback on if something is cool or not. But yeah, I mean, the whole concept of nerd, isn't necessarily, there's people who don't really tie it with gaming, although that seems to be the general, thematic consensus between most Nerdcore artists is the love for video games, because, of course. But it's always interesting how it's not. I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Oh, video games and anime. Those seems to be the two like leading topics.
Yeah, no, for sure. And on that note, actually, both of y'all an answer or so each of you do have multiple favorite soundtracks, like just that OST for a game or anime that just like you will never get sick of throwing that on. I know it's a very on-the-spot question.
Yeah,
I'll go first because I got a weird one.
Okay.
Maybe it's not weird. I don't know. Grand Theft Auto 3.
No, that's dope.
All the songs that like sound
that's
like
a good,
real
that's
songs.
A good pick.
Some of them maybe are real songs.
Yeah.
I could play that soundtrack in my car and just be like, this is good.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, honestly, I would say it's not a bad choice. It was definitely. I get where you were going with it when you thought it might be a weird one. I would say it's more of a. It was left field from what I expected. If that's any of that, if that's to say anything, just because GTA 3 was definitely like. I just remember in middle school when that shit dropped, and like, was I? I don't remember.
It seems close.
It seems close. General give or take. I was an age of some sort whenever GTA 3 came out, and I just remember. I do remember that soundtrack very much sticking with me. In fact,
came out in 01.
In 01?
October of 01.
So I was in 8th grade. Anyways. But it's one of those things where, honestly, that soundtrack, I totally get what you're saying, because that and Vice City are the two soundtracks that stick to me more than any other future GTAs ever did.
Yeah.
Like, you got cool tracks, more licensed tracks, but not really that special to me. Like, and then another series, I don't know why I turned it into me answering the question all of a sudden, but I was going to say
It's all dialogue.
All I was going to say real quick was... what it made me think of was Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, I was going to say that, like, especially the first two soundtracks, like, to this day, like, it was a curation of artists that I probably wouldn't have heard of, in all honesty, probably never have heard of if it wasn't for that game. Yeah. So, I answered my own question for no reason because I'm not the guest.
Thanks.
There's that.
Bus driver?
We learned so much about
it exactly, like that. Yeah, no, Shubs?
So, for video game or anime original soundtracks, so I have two. Okay. And if we want to do, like, playlist style things, I have three. Okay, so the playlist style one, Saints Row 3.
Oof, that's a good one.
That one, like, the songs that they picked to be on, like, the radio stations, I was like, alright, I fucks with this.
Yeah.
For video game OSTs, well, I mean, we did it. The Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest.
Nice.
I loved it so much, I walked down the aisle to Stickerbush Symphony.
Nice.
Oh,
like,
that's good.
Yeah, it's so fucking good. And then I have just finished. I am all caught up to date with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh yeah.
So
this is why this was a good guest choice.
Fucking Golden Wind, like,
yeah.
All right, like I've had Giorno's theme like stuck in my head for like 3 weeks. I'll play it for you later. It is hype. It is so hype.
So good.
Like many like. So we're all citizens or denizens of the internet, and memes aplenty, right?
Of course.
But I've like. The JoJo's Bizarre Adventure community has the most dankest of memes. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, at this point, everybody knows, like, the to be continued, like,
of course,
little arrow that goes through, and all that shit. Like, even if you didn't know what the hell a JoJo's or a Bizarre or an Adventure was, like, you knew that meme.
In that order.
Yeah.
So, yes, exactly, in that order. But those are my three faves.
Those are good.
Awesome.
It's nice to hear JoJo's get mentioned because, like you said, at least people have seen... I don't believe anyone's gone through their life without experiencing at least a JoJo's meme, if not multiple, and just not know that it was a JoJo reference, but it was a JoJo reference. So that being the case, it's nice to hear JoJo get some rep. now we're just waiting for that JoJo concept album, and then that'll be good stuff.
Just the anime has done such a good job of having funny music in it, whether it's like composed for it or they licensed it. It's just always been great.
Yeah, no, it's great. I've always found the licensing thing kind of funny with JoJo, especially the changing of the names and stuff here in the States, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get really bad.
But, like fucking Zipperman for Sticky Fingers.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, oh no.
Like, even though you can hear him say it.
Like, you can hear them.
Yep, that
or I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, Star Platinum is like, I mean, there's not a band to that. I mean, whoever the people that made tarot cards is going to come through with a IT loss.
Yeah, they're gonna get on
like
that.
in part 5, they couldn't use Sex Pistols.
Yeah, Sex Pistols couldn't get
used. So when they changed to like 6 bullets.
Yeah, which is fair. They are 6 bullets. Like, I mean, yeah, like. I will explain this whole thing to you when we're done with this interview. But
like I
they have like stands, and there's a lot. There's a lot, but it's fun and you might enjoy it.
I haven't gotten to watch all of Golden Wind. Like, but I do have a
hard tangent because we're talking JoJo's now. Mm-hmm. My favorite stand, like. Period, end of conversation. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry for all of those that are listening right now that have not been caught up. That's not my problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not my problem. But number 5, Sex Pistol number 5. Like, that little guy's won my heart. Because how many times has he saved fucking Mista's ass and fucking Giorno's? Yep. You know, and thus the entire group. Also, too, like, he's the heart. He's the heart of that entire, like, in that entire stand group. Yeah. Like, he weeps for his brothers. He weeps for the other stands. Like, he's the one that'll call out when something obvious happens. He is the spiritual successor to Robert E.O. Speedwagon in that context. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I legit, like, my husband and I have been going in on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the past, like, 2-3 months. Like, I'll go all day.
I've only read the manga to part 5, but Mista has the best fights in part 5, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. I like where Araki is going with a lot of, especially part 5. He's getting so creative with a lot of the battles and such. So when whoever the JoJo of the hour is, like, starts, like, punching the shit out of whoever it is, it just becomes so much more satisfying because that's like the move that they do. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, like, multiple bunches, and depending on the JoJo, they go, or
so
like,
good.
whatever. And
it's so hard to explain to someone who's never seen it, because it sounds weird to like, explain it and imitate it. But I have a very high success rate of once I've gotten people to finally, like, do it. Like, it's usually been a pretty high success rate to people liking it, so...
I think trying to get people to watch Phantom Blood is... Because Phantom Blood is pretty... It's not as good.
Phantom Blood is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of weird, because there was one guy I used to work with, and I tried getting him into JoJo, and he really, really liked Battle Tendency, mm-hmm. which is fair, because it's amazing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. And it got to Stardust Crusaders, and he was losing momentum, and he's like... Yeah, I know this is the most popular one because of the stands, and I was actually looking forward to this, mm-hmm. but it's really boring. And I'm like, yeah, it's very Monster of the Week, and Araki's trying something new, mm-hmm. and mm-hmm. it's really not until part 4 and 5 that he starts really learning how to use the stands. Like, I mean, if you were to tell somebody that, you know, 2 people could fuck you up with being able to not make you tell the truth and then summoning sharks from any body of water, you'd probably think that's weird. But
yeah.
That is a brutal thing.
Yeah.
You'll have to watch it.
And the Rocky made it happen.
Yeah. So. This was all a big ploy to get Bill to watch JoJo, so I'm glad that this trick worked.
I mean, I've been meaning to share more about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anyway, so
good.
I'm glad. I'm glad that we got together to like have this meeting to convince you, Philby.
Yeah, see, it was all an intervention to get a JoJo's. We don't even have a podcast. This was all a scam. There is no podcast. This was not even being recorded. It's just a Skype call.
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, but
yeah.
I haven't watched the anime for part 5, but do they change White Album's name?
I think they do.
That's a weird one,
I think they do, and I can't remember what they changed it to, if they changed it to anything. I remember not realizing that White Album was White Album, and then eye-rolling about it.
Because
it was, one, obvious, and two, like, I didn't care that they named that stand White Album.
Right.
It was very weird, because it's just ice armor. So... But it's white armor, and it gently weeps. And
like some of these stands are bullshit as fuck. But I mean, you know, it all depends on the user and their soul or whatever it is. It's I mean, it's fine. It really is good, and it's not like this weird like okay, maybe it's a little out there, but it's real fun.
Out there, but it's good
really
stuff.
Fun.
It's bizarre.
It's bizarre, perhaps. There's that, yeah. a little bit. But let's see, real quick. I say real quick. On this episode of JoJo Cast,
we're at JoJo.
Just to let you know, Bill, I've never seen it either. So, listening to you
No,
guys.
Mallory has just been playing with her cup and listening this whole time. So there's that. So
I'm looking it up and putting it on a list of things.
She's trying to fire up Crunchyroll as we're talking.
Yay! I mean, if you have Hulu, I believe definitely the first 3 parts are on there.
Yeah.
I can't remember where part 4 came from, but we watched through it all. Probably. Probably.
I don't. For sure.
I don't acquire these
from the internet.
I don't acquire these episodes. I don't ask.
They just show up and
you appear.
Yep, they just appear on the TV or phone.
Itself, not even on the computer.
Yeah, no.
Like, on the Xbox, on the TV. Like you open it up and it's just the opening credits to whatever part it is.
That's its own stand.
I'm not even gonna go to work tomorrow. I'm just gonna be watching JoJo's.
It sounds like a plan,
right?
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
That is a great idea.
Dear Mallory's boss, don't listen to the podcast.
Right?
Yeah, Mallory's boss, don't listen to this.
She's looking kind of sick right now.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got a cough.
I think I have a cold.
I think it's tuberculosis.
Wait, you mean you're not going to work today, right? Because it's Monday.
Yeah, today. Sorry, guys. Today.
Today. Wink.
Today you're not going to work.
It's Monday.
Nudge.
Wink.
Nudge.
Actually, Monday. You know, we've broken the immersion. I don't know why I still try to pretend like we record this in Monday morning. First of all, I'm not even awake at 11 a.m. on any day.
I don't think anybody believed us either.
So, I don't know why the whole concept is supposed to be on Monday. I wake up at 11 a.m. Wink. And now we have guests that I convinced to wake up and talk to us at 11 a.m. And it's one of those things that I don't know why.
Nothing better to do on a Monday.
And we've broken the immersion so many times that I've already been like, yeah, this came out today. Oh, it's Friday. We're recording this on a Friday for some reason. But yeah, so there's that.
I think it's just like a running joke at this point.
Yeah, basically. That's all it is.
To see if anybody else points it out.
It's just a meme at this point.
Technically it's Monday somewhere.
It's Monday... Yeah, we'll go with that. For someone whose stand is to make it always Monday. Yeah. Oh, that's an evil stand though.
I would
to make it always Monday.
It's the arch nemesis to Garfield.
Yeah.
Oh God,
he just kills the lasagna all the time too.
Oh God, that's basically that.
But wait, their stand would have to be something like related to music somehow. So it would need to be some like sort of like it would be like called Manic Monday or something like that with bagels. And that would be their, like, fucking, like, ability.
There you go. Yep. So
bullshit stand.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, fuck that one.
Like, you mean to tell me that, like, the stand in me has awakened, and I give people the gift of a perpetual Monday.
Yeah, that's it. If they're in the range,
it would probably be worse than King Crimson.
Worse than King Crimson.
You know it. Yeah, I'll throw it. Well, yeah, I'll throw it in there. Yeah, I'll argue that. At least King Crimson will kill your ass. Like,
yeah, I'll let you go.
So you don't have to deal with the Monday.
The mercy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that would be terrible.
We would need somebody with
taking
the
all sorts Friday. Of turns and loops and such for the. I guess like, will this be like the somewhat JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like open enrollment
basically
episode?
It also highlights why, as the agenda pusher, I'm really bad at it, because I just pushed us away from JoJo, criticized the fact we talked about JoJo for so long, only to make a JoJo joke, and
then I
flew it right
you
back.
You mean a JoJo?
Like,
it's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's a JoJo's reference.
I constantly find myself doing that. Yeah,
really,
that's
my bad.
So music on the.
Oh
wait, JoJo has music. No, anyways. So the turntable scratching on the songs, are those all are those samples, or are they actual full on real DJ scratching on the turntables on the wheels of steel?
Oh, it's all real.
Cool. That's good. I like that. This is a thing where I just talked about tech being amazing, how like we can collaborate internationally and stuff like that, how we're doing this right now far apart from each other. But at the same time, it's scary when it's stuff where I have to wonder if turntable scratches are real.
Yeah.
Because there are also songs that sample that a lot. So it's one of those things where, just wanted to know for the record. Oh God, I'm old. This is the thing. Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm just gonna perpetually make dad jokes for no reason, even without kids. Okay. It's just that's my stand-up. No more judges. No more standability. No more of that. I'm gonna do it again with the stand stuff. It's so easy
would be named Full House. Okay, I'm done.
There you go. Yeah. And that's the thing with JoJo. You can just always do it. Yeah. You can just always do it. It's amazing. It always goes back to it. And then finally, as far as this section goes, as far as the nerdcore scene itself, how did you find your guys entering that world? Because we all go like me, I did like hip hop for a while, then I did like thrash metal, then back to hip hop, then thrash metal, and there's like the dichotomy there's obviously pretty different. So how did you guys kind of get caught up in the scene? And then obviously you guys totally dig the scene now, but like what was your guys' initial like introduction to the scene, and how did you find yourself kind of getting caught up in it?
I'll start it. So I worked at a call center. And I was making music at the time, but, just kind of learning how to do it pretty much. But I had a good amount of equipment. Mm-hmm. And one of my supervisors was in a rap group.
Oh, nice.
In a rap group called Death Star, which is a nerdcore rap group.
Oh, okay, cool.
So they would talk to me about it. They'd be like, oh, so you do this, and, like, what should we do? And they were getting ready to start recording their album. So pretty much, we talked about it for like a couple months or so, and then I had gotten fired from the job, so then my supervisor called me, Steve, and he was like, "Hey, so since you don't work here anymore, is it cool if we come over and record an album?"
We can fraternize now.
I know you don't have an excuse.
I think I was only 20 at the time. So I was pretty young, and I couldn't really play shows, but I had recorded the album for them. And then it kind of became, well, okay, since you recorded the album, you might as well DJ for us too, since you know how to do that. So that was that's how I got into it, is I started DJing for that group. And they did a bunch of stuff, did a bunch of records. They've slowed down since, but that was my entry into it.
Nice.
And then on my end, my husband, Triple Aaron, is friends with Death Star.
Oh.
So I saw them. Well, I met my husband outside of a Death Star show. I didn't go to that one.
How sad is that?
Yeah, it's rough. But, you know, like...
Why is Death Star the entrance to this?
To, like, what? The gateway that is my marriage. But,
both of our futures were dependent on Death Star.
That's right, because you were at, like, some event with Death Star when you met Mrs. Dolby.
That's true.
They're not getting a thank you gift from me, by the way. So you never will. But, so, I met Death Star through my husband outside of one of their shows, and you know, we were friends first, and then at the time the poppin' like Nerdcore hub on the internet was Nerdcore Now, and I just introduced myself in a post, and then apparently all of a sudden you're fucking Nerdcore.
Sounds like that.
Where I really cut my teeth was in the first VPC. It was a lot different back then. So there weren't any there weren't really any audience votes. I think there were like maybe 15 to 20 teams. I was one of the only people of color, and I think I was the only... Was I the only woman? No, I wasn't the only... No, I can't remember who it was, but it doesn't matter.
Was that the first year or second year?
First year.
First year, okay.
First year. No, Starby, I think she hopped in VPC 3? Yeah, okay. I think so. But yeah, that's how I got started, was the VPC came around. It was this new competition. I needed to write material anyway, wanted to get started with that. So I started writing songs. This, by the way, is after like a good 20 plus years of being a dancer, and then the wear and tear just wrecking my shit.
I believe it, yeah.
So, always been one that was, really into, the culture and the movement of hip-hop.
Nice.
And so, couldn't really pursue dance anymore. Can't tag for shit. I'm not a turntablist by any means. Bill Beats and I have been working together for 8 years. I'm hesitant to press a button.
It just blows up.
On his mixer.
Right.
I'm what does that button do? I'm hovering over the button, but I need you to press it because it will know.
I want to point.
Yeah, but that was my entrance into Nerdcore. I mean, we've been around ever since, and to be honest, the Conquest is actually our first what would be considered Nerdcore way Nerdcore leaning EP.
Yeah, but no, really good stuff though. What'd you say?
Question.
Go for it.
What was your favorite song to record on the new album?
Oh god, they're so...
Because I love all of them, but there's a few that stick out to me. But what was y'all's favorite song?
I would probably say Carpool. Carpool was just the way it came together, and it's always when we make music, whenever you make music, you don't really know exactly what it'll sound like when it's done. But since we've been working together for so long, we have a good idea of what it's going to sound like.
And that's cool that you guys have that dichotomy with that team with each other, because you get the fact that, again, you can almost feel how things are going to turn out. Even though I don't plan any of these episodes, I kind of have a feeling how it's going to go, and it just flows. So yeah, no, I like that. Exactly. Though. I like that.
Exactly. So yeah, a lot of the songs we had a really good idea what the structure was going to be, but with Carpool, and it's not something we do too often where we have other featured artists. So we kind of, it was all right, here's a song. I think we gave them maybe a month, maybe not even that much, 2 weeks, not very long. So we didn't even know if all of them would come back with something. We were just kind of if you got time, please send us something. So just the way that all came together at the end, I think that was probably my favorite out of the bunch.
Nice.
Let's see. What one's my favorite? I mean, I get, Carpool Lane was fun in that I only had to write one verse. It was a very easy verse to write because it was very much true to life. Well, I mean, a lot of them are. I haven't commandeered a ship yet, but that's on the to-do list.
There you go.
We can do that when you're in Austin.
For me was... Huh?
I said we can do that when you're in Austin.
There we go. We'll get a ship.
That's exciting. I'm very yes, hooray for Austin. But yeah, Carpool Lane was a lot of fun and the easiest to write. But I think also Conquest was fun to write. That was the first song we finished.
Oh, cool! And it also ended up being the first.
I felt really good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was kind of the jump off that really set the mood for the record.
Which is,
And then it was like, okay, now we have to build around that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a really good opening track. Yeah. Like it really does like grab. Yeah. Like that's the thing I noticed about that one. I think that one's an easy one to pick as one of the favorites on there, I would say, because it just really does stick with you as that really powerful intro. Mm-hmm. For me, the other one I really did like was 6 Months Old. Mm-hmm. I like the vibe of it and everything when I first heard that one. I guess I like the variety in the music because Conquest, the way that tonally is, and then the way 6 Months Old is like, still feels like y'all, but at the same time, the again, tonally is very contrasting, and I really, really enjoyed that, like, being, so close to each other in the album, so I really like that. Mallory, anyone mention that?
So my favorite was High Road. I ended up playing that on repeat, like, I don't even know, 100 times probably, and it was just like, it just kept going, and it just like, with where I'm at in life right now, it just kind of spoke to me, and I was like, I really love this song. I remember my nephew, like, grabbed my phone, and he's like, what are you listening to? And we were jamming out to it.
There you go.
And we were dancing.
Yay!
And he's, he's so into all of the stuff that I'm doing that he's just like, let's dance! So, we were dancing to that, and, my sister was like, what are you listening to? And she came in and she started dancing with us. And she's like, I really love this song. I was like, all right, now you guys have to go. Like, I'm done with that. Bye, guys.
Get out of here.
The nephew can stay. You gotta go.
Limiting the fun.
Yeah.
Yay.
Mr. Josh, anything for you?
I mean, the title track really stands out the most for me. Like,
it's really
the fucking
good.
Hook.
It's really good. Yeah. Nerdcore's really interesting. Yeah, no problem. Nerdcore is really interesting because I think that I remember when I first got into it, I was just like, so a lot of the early artists I heard didn't curse too much, so like I was like, oh, okay, and then like eventually I started hearing more that kind of went on more of the wilder spectrum, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, no, it does exist.
They do curse.
The Immortal Technique and then the Sir Mix-a-Lots are both there, so there's a lot of existing levels to that, so yeah, no, good stuff.
I think I would die if I couldn't curse. I curse all the time. Like,
there you go.
Which
is really gonna make it. So we have a few guests that I can't say who they are coming up that I like. There's probably an episode where I'm not gonna be able to cuss, and that's gonna be a very.
I mean, I can't cuss around my nephew. Like, he gets mad at me and, like, points his finger. And he's like, you can't curse. But, like, he'll, like, jump in our party on Xbox Live and he's like, I'm playing Fortnite. And I'm like, fucking Fortnite. And he's like, don't curse! And I'm like,
So that segues to our sponsor, Fortnite. And I'm joking. No, Fortnite is not sponsoring this because they would have dropped this a long time ago because of the subject matter. A lot of times is usually totally not pro Fortnite.
They curse too much.
But that's the problem with Fortnite, not because it's a bad game. Let's see. All right, so we'll take a quick word from our sponsor. We have Radio Public, who is a podcast platform on Android and iOS. Very much an organic platform like this ad spot. You can go on there and listen to all your favorite podcasters, including us, and when you do, you actually get to support them directly, even if it is pennies at a time. Nice. And I mean pennies, like really like pennies at a time. Thank you, Radio Public. So there's that. Appreciate you guys again. You can check it out on Android, iOS, and if you have a Huawei phone, it probably doesn't work on there because politics. So there's that. All right. So Radio Public is, you can go check that out in your Play Store or the iTunes. What is the Apple App Store? There you go. The App Store. Probably. We don't use. I don't think any of us have an iPhone. I don't know. But probably.
I don't have an iPhone.
You don't have yeah.
So no, none of us have an iPhone.
Android. So.
And I'm pretty sure
they told me it was on iTunes.
I think
is that what it's called?
That's the App Store.
Is that the App Store?
I think that's what it's called. No, it's is it app?
This is how the ad spot always goes.
It's such an awkward ad.
This is how it goes.
It's available on
and
this thing
that we don't know. And this is why we're never going to get sponsored by Apple.
No, we use it though. We use it. I use it to listen to myself on an anonymous account so we get paid.
I just take the neighbor's iPhone. I just know which app to go to.
Where's the home button?
Apple Store.
That's
what it's called.
No, it's not called that. Is. No, stop it. That's not real. Okay, anyways. So, you guys heard about how Donald Trump wants, like, he was complaining about the home button. He wants the home button to come back to iPhone because he hates the fact that it's not there. This is what he's worried about. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and damn that home button missing. Please come back, home button. It was weird. I don't even know why that was popped up, but that's like, this is news.
Oh, it's just the App Store.
It's just the App. That's what I thought.
Store.
The Apple Store.
I don't know. I don't use Apple.
You're gonna tell me.
I know there's one at La Cantera, but
why am I so arrogant? Like I knew. What
yeah,
it was.
right.
Like I was 100% sure what it was. Okay, enough of this. Yeah. All right, thanks, Radio Public. I think probably if you guys want us to still do. Did you guys tell us a long time ago to stop using your guys' name? You're like, please stop mentioning us in your podcast. We already told you a long time ago. We're taking money from you guys every single time you guys do that. No, but there's that. The only non-video game related news on the docket was Rumor. Now, of course, the mates over at Castle's Super Beast, formerly Super Best Friend Cast, had always wanted. I listened to an episode from like years ago where they're talking about this. There's rumor that Michael Keaton is being considered to play good old Mr. Wayne in a Batman Beyond movie, which would be just oh God, why is that dog barking in the background? That's what happens. No, don't hold the dogs. This is why they keep barking. Okay. Anyways.
I haven't held them at all tonight,
yeah, no, that's true. So, Batman Beyond was cool. Terry McGinnis. Wait, McGinnis, right?
So was that for a movie? Because I remember I saw some confirmation that I think it was one of the TV shows. They said that the 89 Batman film existed within that continuity. So my assumption was it was going to be one of the TV shows. I didn't know anything about the movie.
No, that's why you're in charge of that.
That's all I know!
Very good. Yeah. Good news. Batman Beyond.
Way to go doing your research, Josh.
No, I didn't tell Josh to do research. I was just throwing him under the bus now. The bus appeared, so now I've thrown him under there.
Cool.
The bus was built over Josh's corpse.
Okay.
So there was that.
R.I.P. Josh.
There you go.
Thanks.
Video game news. So we have Suda 51 and Swery 65 are going to be doing a collaboration together. For those who don't know, those studios, Suda 51 worked on stuff with Grasshopper Studios like No More Heroes and Killer is Dead. Swery working on more obscure titles like Deadly Premonition, D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die, as well as the Missing Memories of J.J. Macfield. Something that's like a really long title. That's a really good one. That's out on Steam and Switch at the very least. I think it might be on PS4 and stuff like that. But they're collaborating, and they both make a lot of weird games. They're two of my favorite devs of all time, and like they unconfirmed collaborate. Like they did say some sort of collaboration, but they haven't said the details of exactly what. But they're going to be working together, which means it's going to be a really weird game.
Right.
But
I'm excited. I like weird games.
It should be good. Do y'all have any experience with any of the game? No More Heroes, Killer's Dead, anything like that?
I have not. No.
Me either.
Good talk. Good no, that wasn't a slight because I know that someone's gonna get really mad and be like, "How dare he talk?" Like
we're going back to the Nope episode.
It was just a gag. Yeah. So the last episode, I didn't purposely curate it this way, but these two had no idea any of the games I was mentioning, so it was just harkening back to that. Good times.
The last episode where he mentioned games that we didn't play.
Speaking of underrated games,
he just kept giving us games, and we were like, "Nope, never did that."
Oh yeah,
the whole episode.
That's why it was called the Nope Cast. Was the name of that episode because that was all we pretty much said the entire time. Okay, so speaking of underrated games, no one's ever heard about. Last of Us 2 has been the multi-game of the year award-winning series because. In my opinion, they still should have left it alone, but that's me. Last of Us 2 delayed until 2020. I think it said May of 2020 is what the projected date is. Which at that point, with Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and all those other games coming out, Animal Crossing coming out early in the year, they need to start spacing that shit out, because that's a lot of games. That's the thing. If I recall correctly, either it's just because we were younger and didn't have money, or games didn't seem to come out that often like they are now, where we just have these congested periods of like, that's going to say, you can take that out of context really well. You just, a clip of me saying congested periods.
Yeah.
And then now that could be a sound clip that you can use on your...
You shouldn't point that out so people don't do that.
Oh, right. Okay. So anyways, it's one of those things where like so many games come out now that it's like really tough to try to stay on top of it, especially when you are busy doing stuff. Do you guys find much time to game in between touring anymore?
We're gonna fucking try.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Yeah, I mean, we'll try. Before I had my daughter, we would play a lot of Overwatch. So that was fun. It would be us, Triple Aaron cosplay of Death Star, and then a couple of other friends, and we would just like go in as a 6-stack and just ruin people.
So that game is
ruined and then go back and do it all over again.
Yeah, there you go. That game is definitely much better with friends than pugs, for sure. Just like League of Legends is better with friends than pugs, for sure. But yeah,
like it's hard to solo queue. Like I have it on Xbox, Xbox One, and then also PC, and like unless you have somebody to talk to, soon to be Switch.
So so I was gonna say, okay, soon on Switch, unless they fix it, I wouldn't advise it. Now, let me preface this by saying I'm a huge Switch mark, so if something can come out on Switch, I want it to. Like, right now, the games I mentioned that I all played this month were all on Switch, because when I started the podcast, it was one of those things where I actually called it disconnected, because at that point when I started this, I didn't really get to play so many games. I just kept up with the news. So the whole idea was, even though I don't have time or don't play games anymore, I still keep up with the news for some insane reason. But then, ironically, because of the podcast and the Switch existing, since I could play it pretty much anywhere I go, it's really brought my love for games back, and I've actually been playing games more whenever I can, because you can just pop it out of sleep mode, even handheld or wherever you are, and get a little bit of time in there, even if it's, a mission at a time in Witcher, like what I'm doing now, or otherwise. But anyways, as far as Overwatch goes, not the best port at the moment, unless they decide to fix it. Like, I'm a firm believer that graphical dips are okay if the frame rate can stay, like, they weren't even shooting for 60, they were shooting for a 30.
Right? Yeah.
And it dips so many times, especially since you're used to playing it on Xbone and PC. Normally I would say the graphical downgrade could be worth it. Like with Witcher, I would say it's worth it, because it's not as bad as people are saying on Witcher. Like, what do you expect a huge game like that to be on there to look like, right? But it looks fine. It looks like a PC on low settings, essentially, for Witcher is what the best, comparison I have. But with Overwatch, the graphical downgrade is totally not forgivable all of a sudden, primarily because you're actually hovering at like 22, 25 frames sometimes. And in a game like that, where it could mean a matter of life and death or losing the point because the person just yeeted past your gun, is like not the best experience. So unfortunately right now I would advise against it unless y'all bought it already. But
like Tracer would be.
Yeah. It's not great. Who do you guys main on Overwatch?
So I depending on what's needed. So my DPS main is Symmetra. Tank main is Orisa, and heal main is Mercy.
Nice. Classic. Good old Mercy.
Yeah. Just Bastion for me. That's my...
Hey, there you go. The most loved character.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, when you're Bastion and I have to play tank as Orisa, it's rough for the other people. Or if I'm Mercy and I'm just boosting you while you ult, it's great.
Everyone loves that.
It's great seeing those Podgies, and then I have my little boost meter, or if you get shot at, which you always do because you're Bastion.
Yep.
It's nice being on the assist there. Very very rewarding. Teamwork.
There you go.
Yay.
So actually, speaking of Overwatch, because this was on the docket, but I didn't expect to kind of go this way, so it's a perfect thing. ESPN, because, that makes sense. ESPN was talking about Overwatch 2 is supposedly going to be talked about at BlizzCon. Now, Activision Blizzard, even for people who don't pay too much attention to the political side of things or gaming news in general, have probably heard that Activision Blizzard is not the most liked company at the moment.
Nope.
So with that being the case, BlizzCon is already going to be a bit of a war zone because their tickets are non-refundable. So of course people are like, well, I want to say fuck you Blizzard, but I still have my tickets. I'm going to go protest. So there already is at least a pretty massive planned protest that's going to be happening on the 1st at noon. So that's going to be one of many alongside very controversial May cosplays, I'm sure. So with that being the case, Blizzard is going to be fighting hell by still having that. Of course, they can't really cancel it. They're really in a tight spot right now. So with that being the case, Overwatch 2, as reported by ESPN, is going to be revealed officially at BlizzCon, apparently. Now, we had to talk about this last time when Overwatch 2 was just rumored as a potential thing, where there was just very faint, unreliable whispers that was going to be a thing, because at this point everyone's just basically, as I call it, a do-or-die BlizzCon for them. They're basically going to have to give Diablo 4 all this Overwatch support and all this other. They're going to have to give everyone all the candy out of the basket and then go to the store and refill the basket and then give them all that candy too.
Aren't they also doing like a Diablo 2 HD or something like that?
They're doing Diablo 2 HD remastered as well as.
Love that, maybe.
Yeah, so they're basically having to pull all the stops. Unlike last year where they didn't pull out any of the stops and did Diablo Immortal. And so you have that in now. So they're basically having to make up for that plus the current controversy. So one thing we mentioned last time was the fact that when you have a game like Overwatch, where it has a competitive scene as well as a ever-building roster, or so it seemed, sequelizing the game to get another $60 out of everybody really has to bring something pretty special to the table, I'd say. First of all, I don't think it should. I think it's really too soon, really. Like, Overwatch is I think 4 years old now. It's just going to be May.
She's not even in the game anymore.
May, how dare they?
I know. Yeah, they should.
Problem solved, guys.
It's just a big patch to get May out of the game. Jeez. A $60
patch to remove May. Oh man. Terrible.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I find it very hard for them to justify after 4 years to go ahead. Now, of course, they can go, oh, well, late next year, PS5 and whatever the Xbox is eventually called right now. What is it? Project Scarlet, I believe, is what it's being codenamed. The code name's always cooler than the actual thing for Xbox, but anyways, that's another thing. But the PlayStation's always coming up with unique names every year, the PS5. So there's that. But what?
So apparently in the article,
are you going to say everything I have on the docket?
Is that okay?
Probably.
Then no.
Okay.
Never mind.
No, you're good. If I forget something though, go for it. There. It's just this has almost become like a recurring theme where you're gonna just hijack and just read what's on my paper that you don't know. But anyways,
that was the true purpose of the calendar.
So yeah, basically.
Just so I can know, so I don't do this.
What is allegedly going to be... Oh, right. So what I was going to say is, if anything, this should just be an update. Overwatch 2 should really just be an overhaul and an update. I think it's like one of those things where, what are you really going to add? And as we know about launch windows and launch title, I don't think it's even going to be much graphically superior either. Because Overwatch kind of has that cartoony thing where it can kind of... It's pretty... But it can almost get away with sometimes not looking as intensive.
It's like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, exactly.
It has that cartoon animation where it's like,
and that's why it is appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But what is supposedly Overwatch 2 is going to bring to the table, aside a really badly rendered looking logo, is apparently there's going to be a new hero that's going to launch with it. So you have that, which now brings the roster up to 32. It kind of like skipped me, and I didn't really realize how many characters there are in Overwatch. Like, I knew there was a bit, but I just didn't realize that many. When I hear that number get speed. I'm just like,
does my Chroma Overwatch keyboard even have enough colors for that?
No more. Your RGB like colors on your keyboard are not gonna be able to match anymore. You're not gonna work. You're gonna have to get the Overwatch 2 keyboard, which will have an extra keypad where you can have all the dedicated.
It's not even a number pad anymore.
It's not a number. It's a number pad where it's gonna have the dual digits on that one.
Also gonna have all the accents that you could have ever needed.
It's a cool keyboard though, because your whole keyboard changes color depending on which character you're playing.
So it is cool when they do stuff like that. I gotta say that's good marketing. But so they're gonna give you a new hero off the start. Then they kind of underhandedly were just like,
I hope it's Cat with a jetpack.
It's a character they call Echo that was apparently talked about last BlizzCon, but according to Jeff Kaplan, they have big plans for this character. So, go ahead.
Well, Echo was in McCree's animated short.
Right. So apparently that's who. Okay.
Yeah. But are you saying that Echo's going to be on 1 or 2? On 2?
That's the part that they didn't make clear, because they say new character reveal and then they almost talk about Echo like a sub point. It was weird because ESPN.
Okay,
yeah.
Because from what so I think it was Kotaku, and then I was watching your Overwatch earlier. But I guess Echo is either rumored to be on Overwatch 1.
Okay.
And then I think Sojourn, the voice for the Havana mission, is going to be a playable character for 2.
Okay. So that's probably that would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I heard, which is dope because I am ready to see what her kit's going to be. Same with Echo, actually. I don't even know what role Echo would be.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They kind of, as they rolled out characters, I remember there was that thing where they were just like, you want to try to roll it out in a 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of like introducing the character types, but then sometimes they like to, 2 supports in a row or whatever, and then the problem, of course, being the people who don't play that, and then they get another one where there's like, this was supposed to be my offense ad, and then you don't get it. It's hard to run a game like that. That's one thing I'll give any company that finds issues with what character should I add next. That's definitely some adversity that they face when it comes to that. So we'll see. So yeah, I think what Shubs was saying is absolutely right. I think it's going to be probably 2 different characters, because again, it seemed like, again, very poorly like worded in the article, but like new character, and then talked about Echo. So it's one of those things, right? Because like, how should I interpret these 2 points like next to each other? So that would make sense then. Then they kind of under their breath were like, microtransactions, and then moved on.
Oh no.
And one of I know, I really hope the loot box thing is already controversial as it is. So if they were to ever actually do like proper microtransactions, they would be that'd just be a mess.
Yeah.
Like the loot box thing can go back and forth all day. I see decent arguments for both sides. It is optional, but then, you have the whole Jim Sterling explanation of some people really can't help themselves, gambling compulsion, stuff like that. So it's not so black and white as I think people say, but that's, we've beat that dead horse so many times, so there's that. Another thing they said they're going to add is a brand new mode. It's going to be called push mode. They didn't really exactly go with what the specifics of that is, but they are saying it's the first proper mode being added since 2015. So, you have your capture the point and blah, 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 and then now there's push mode, which details to come at BlizzCon. We'll see. The only thing they're probably going to be doing is pushing protesters out of the way as they're trying to make it into the convention center. But other than that, we can see that'll actually be a thing.
Oh no,
so
the protesters are at the checkpoint. Get them the fuck out.
They also mentioned so this is the thing where for some of the guests I had to be like, are you guys sponsored by Bethesda or Blizzard? Because you may want to decline the invitation to be on the podcast right now, because you're going to probably lose your sponsorship if you appear with us.
No, wouldn't that be a treat if we were sponsored by both? sponsored, right?
Yeah.
But no, we are not.
Okay, good. No, I don't want to be taking away the money.
Bethesda, so.
Yeah, so you can just join us on the shit party.
There you go. They also are going to have PvE kind of baked in as opposed to just being like a seasonal mode. It's supposed to launch with a PvE campaign, so there's going to be a campaign mode this time that you and up to 4 friends can do. Totally co-op. I mean, it's not necessarily a entirely unique thing. In Junkenstein, it's going to be something like that.
I forgot the name of the other one. Like, fucking... It happened during their... Was it their anniversary thing?
The anniversary,
I had fun with those. They were alright.
Yeah.
Uprising, Retribution.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, I thought those were kind of neat modes.
Yeah, no, if I wasn't, you know, Hong Kong Revolution of our time right now, and my Blizzard account is not being touched at the moment, then yeah, it does, if I was to partake... It is a mode that I did enjoy, especially playing with friends. It's something where when you're, especially if you are doing pugs or you are solo queuing and then you're getting very frustrated with watching your rank drop in comp mode and you wanted to just play something a little more fun and not stressful, it was fun to play those kind of modes. So that PvE campaign is going to be taking place in Rio de Janeiro in the whatever narrative they have cooked up for there. So we'll see with that. And then, of course, they did say build, as you would assume, building on existing modes. Well, I don't know why that's news. Like, were they going to take them out? Like, were they going to remove?
They were just going to remove all of them.
I don't know. For some reason, they were just like, oh yeah, as well as improving the stuff that's already there. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, that's not what.
No, we've cut all of that.
No, we've just removed it.
They finally got rid of capture the flag.
Finally, just what you wanted. No, so there's that. And then finally getting into it, because I just wanted to touch the really hot topics of the week, because, you know, this would have been like a 5-hour episode if we didn't. But yeah, so the news has to do with the game that is absolutely competing with Anthem for worst game of the last decade, or century, or ever, which is the always surprising Fallout 76, which I didn't even know anyone played anymore. First of all, at the local, I don't know. I think
people gave them money.
I think Bethesda is just, this is all a ploy for them to pretend that people are still playing the game, because there's no way. Anyways, so I was at the local grocery store and I was getting, you know, essentials like TP and whatnot. And then the stalker decided to block me in with a pallet jack, so I had to walk around. Oh. And when I did, I walked by a wall, and I was just like, oh, PS4 and Xbox One games. I didn't know this grocery store sold video games. They...
Which grocery store was it?
Yeah.
It was the old H-E-B's down here in Texas.
Oh, yeah, the H-E-B Plus
Those are my favorite. The chocolate milk is the best.
It's really so good. Oh, my God. There you go.
Their store-brand chocolate milk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The glass bottle chocolate milk.
Yes.
They have
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so good.
Get a couple. Weird.
And you said now they have games, so
right.
Yeah.
So with that, I go, oh, games, okay, and they're not locked by gauges, because you're right. In the pluses, they do, but they're in the game section, put away. So I said, these are just loose and sitting on the shelf. I said, well, let me see. Let me move this discounted weird doll out of the way. I don't even know if that's kid's like corpse or whatever. So I pushed that out of the way.
He's not even checking. It's
a whole shelf full of Fallout 76. That's it.
Oh my God.
That's the only game that was on the shelf. It was just copies of Xbox One and PS4.
Are people just leaving them in the HBs
I feel like maybe they weren't selling them. They were just dropping them off. They were just like, I don't know.
What's even more hilarious is that there's no disc.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing too.
Like
no
the ET of our generation. Is that what this is?
Essentially. And Josh is right. The Fallout 76 physical copy, quote unquote physical copy, is actually just a DRM check. It's just a code inside the box. There's not even a real disc. It couldn't be fucked to be the disc.
Even if you bought like the super, like, what do they call it, the Power Armor edition?
Yeah, the Power Armor edition.
Yeah, even if you buy that, you dish out like over $100 for it. You still just get a case with a cardboard disc with a code.
Yeah, it's a cardboard disc. That's correct. To put the cardboard disc with the code, Mallory, you're not listening to what we have.
What is the point of that?
I don't know. So you could be like, look at my cardboard disc container.
So let's So before we get into the latest nugget of news that dropped this week, let's recap what Fallout 76. So Fallout 76 has dropped lots of nuggets. They've just been the gift that keeps on giving, really. So you have the canvas bag that they promised for the people who spend a shitload. First of all, this is all the people who spend a shitload of money on the game, by the way. Yeah. They already screwed you if you bought the regular version of the game because you got Fallout 76. Yeah. But then if you spent even more money, they promised the canvas bag. Mm-hmm. When you got it, it was some nylon
looked absolutely nothing like the product.
Nothing like the product.
Look like a bag, really.
It's a shriveled. It was a shriveled
historian. They go well.
It was like a shriveled, a repurposed windbreaker, essentially. Like that type of. It was just really bad. Now that would have been one thing because you did the old bait and switch, right? But there were two things related to that people got mad about. One, someone who publicly complained about it was basically just told, yeah, that would cost too much, so we just said, fuck it. And so that was their explanation from Bethesda's customer service is we just changed our mind. And then the thing that...
Not a strong response.
No. And then the thing that's even worse
that's what I want to hear.
The canvas, the rumored canvas bag actually did exist. They only gave it to influencers. So they even made it,
and it didn't even look like the canvas bag in the ad.
No, it looked like a fancy backpack.
It looked
like backpack type thing.
Correct.
Whereas the ad, it was like a duffel bag, which would have been I don't know.
Yeah,
but hoes were mad about that too.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing on top of that, because they just really love it, is that they also gave you in-game currency as a bit of an apology on top of that. Now, of course, a class action lawsuit went through, of course, so everyone did get their... You could switch it out and get your canvas back. So eventually, most or everyone did get it. But the in-game currency that they gave you wasn't even enough to get it in-game. So they just slapped you one more time, and they were just like, bro, here's not even enough to get it in the game. So now, you just got a petty amount.
They only gave those to influencers.
Yeah, they only gave those to influencers.
Did they think people weren't going to notice, though? Because that is a whole other bag.
Hey, man,
I don't want to set this bag on fire like I did the other bag.
Yeah, no. And then, so there was that whole kerfuffle, and that was a big deal. Then, there was a recall for those who got the one with the power armor helmet for dangerous amounts of mold appearing and being registered.
I ain't sure about that.
Yeah. On the ones for the piece. So if you got the canvas bag, I'm sure these people that got the helmet were laughing at them and were like, "Ha! Well, I got the helmet."
Right.
And then the helmet people were told, "If you got that, do not put it on." Apparently, some of them were registering. There were no reported cases that we know of anyone dying from it, but apparently there were trace enough. There were some that were showing up where people were reporting it when they got a little sick or whatever. They were just like, oh. We want to recall this because there were amounts that they could actually get really sick from it, is what was appearing in the helmets that they were doing in the other edition of the game. So, Fallout 76 is really successful.
I've hated this game for so long, and now I just hate it even more.
Well, and then Anthem came out, and that was a trash fire.
Yeah.
And it took the heat off of them for a while, but then Fallout 76 was like, look, guys, let me show you how it's done. And now we're at present day. So that's just all in the last, that was all in the last since November.
A terrible game, Fallout 76, hold my beer.
Basically, because not to be outdone by Anthem, which has now been put on EA Access and also had the roadmap delayed indefinitely, so you just wasted your money with that if you bought it. So Fallout decided to go ahead. They were like, you know what, guys? Apparently, you guys want to play with NPCs and a story. We didn't know that what made a Fallout game is what you wanted. So we'll go ahead. We hear you. We'll go ahead and add that by the end of 2019. It's now been delayed indefinitely into late 2020, assumedly. And they were just like, oh, yeah, no, actually, hold on. No, well, wait. We'll get that eventually. Check this out. And what they did this week is they went ahead and dropped their $100 annual subscription to play a game that is still broken. Okay? I didn't even talk about stuff that was wrong with the game. Okay? So the game was doing stuff like this group found enough so you can get a nuke. They tried to make it very hard to launch a nuclear bomb in there. What ended up happening, this is just one instance of the game being fucked too. So what they were doing is everyone got all these launch codes, launched so many nukes that it made the entire server unplayable for like a long time because it just ruined death amount of wrath. So that's kind of stuff that's happening in game. See, everything I touched was just related to the release of it. So there's and so anyways, what they went ahead and did is they have subscription to what they call Fallout First because. Of course, it's called that. And so now you have, to add to the confusion of what that is, basically it's an annual subscription. It's $13 a month. Think about that.
Oh, yeah, they have a monthly one, though.
$13 a month. The monthly subscription is not... Think about all the streaming services you play. If you play MMOs, think about that subscription. How much stuff is actually worth... They're like... delayed the big content update that maybe would have made this worth it to some people to release this first. Like, they were just like, wait, hold on. Like, we said what would fix the game, but before we get to that, how about you pay a little bit more?
Yeah, no, what I find the thing most hilarious is that usually at this point, if it was an MMO with a subscription base, it would have gone free to play by now.
Yeah, most would have gone free to play by now.
I mean, step it up.
Anthem basically.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Going to Access, but what's up?
They said something.
Oh, no? You good? Oh, okay. So, all right. So, then, or $100 a year. Of course, that's pre-tax, $99 before tax. Now, what does that get you? All right, so let's see. Because $100 a year, that should be all right. That should get you some all right stuff. Well, so here's what it's going to nab you. It's going to nab you everything that people have been asking that should have just been included in the game. So they promised an unlimited storage box because people were just filling up all their storage with all the scrap that you're using to build your settlements and your doohickeys and whatnot and all that stuff, right? So now you get a bottomless pit, bottomless wink, and then you get a bottomless pit box, supply box, all right? Then you get private servers because you know what? We play MMOs to not be social, right? That's why we play them, because that makes sense too. So that's one of the most number one requested things is private server. So they're just like, all right, we hear you, let's get you that. And then they go, they're so bad at this. They go, all right, guys, you guys talk about this New Vegas a lot. You guys like New Vegas. All right, tell you what, if you're part of the subscription service, here is the NCR Ranger armor that is classic. That's from the cover of New Vegas. All right, that's enough New Vegas. Now shut up and stop asking for another one, because now you can just pretend like you're playing New Vegas really badly and broken and really bad. Okay, so
bad.
Yeah, and all that came out. Now that's bad enough that they're charging for it, right? What's even worse is all of that is broken.
It doesn't work.
None of it works. So that's the thing. It has to be a joke at this point that they're just like, it's just a big meme.
It's like we record on Mondays.
So the unlimited storage box is unlimited because it deletes everything you put in there.
Yeah.
So people have put in hundreds of pieces of scrap that they've collected during the time they've been playing this game since November. And it's just gone. For anyone who knows how servers work and how hard it would be to keep track of that, so if you're filing all these support tickets, you should just give up, because there's no way for them to really roll that back. There's no way they're going to be able to put the server in a state where everyone's going to be happy, because there's people who get over it and then regather, so on and so forth and all that. So so that's fucked. That's broke. The next thing, private servers, anyone can join them. So people are just...
they go in there and the place is all period and everything.
Yeah, so...
Dead NPCs.
So these brand new private worlds, not just are people just joining your world that you have no idea who that guy is, they've also supposed to be new private worlds.
Yeah.
There are loot boxes and scraps that are even pre-looted. These are actually repurposed worlds that they took from other servers and then shuffled on and go ahead and pass no look past it to somebody else. So
It's so bad.
It's really, really bad. So, yeah. And then, of course, their response when...
Bethesda. Later.
I know, it's...
Bethesda. Good enough.
It just works.
Together, Bethesda.
It's incredible. It's actually impressive how bad it is.
Make the customer proud. Be proud you made this.
But it's just...
Do you think devs are just sitting there like... throwing their hands up, like, whatever.
Todd Howard said he was, like 5'11", and then whenever he stands next to someone who's 5'7", he's like 2 inches shorter than them. So, we're talking about this guy who does that. But at the same time, it's just... It doesn't seem like it's possible to fuck up this many times in one... This is just for one game. And it's just...
That you don't even get a physical disc for.
Yeah, that you don't get a physical disc for.
You get a cardboard copy.
You get a cardboard copy.
It's weird because, like,
but you do
Elder
get a case.
Scrolls Online didn't face this.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online had a jank launch, and then it was reworked, and then ended up being pretty good.
But it was still through Bethesda, right?
It's still through Bethesda. Uh-huh.
So now what the fuck?
So, yeah, that's the thing, right? So, on the spin-off podcast that hasn't aired yet, this Thursday, the timeline's all fucked. Right? That's what happens when you record everything out of order. But anyways,
or when you let Bethesda
that's the thing. Anything. If Bethesda had never done an MMO before, you could be like, I still think it'd be really generous to say first-time jitters, but fine, right? But they have, okay? Yeah. And then if this was a brand new engine and built from the ground up, you could say, well, the jank comes along with a new engine.
Yeah.
But it's just Fallout 4. So, there's nothing new. Just like the worlds in these private servers. There's nothing new. And then now, you're just trying to, like... It's got to be the fact that there's still, like, I can't believe people are still playing this. They've got to be fucking with, like, the 5 people left that are playing this. Because... Yeah. There was that thing that came out, right, that talked about how...
They're the ones trying to do
exactly.
the new thing.
You're not
They're
really...
just trying to break it the entire time.
Well, they're not... Yeah, well, I mean, that's obviously hyperbole, but you have the thing where they talk about how what's more important than lots of people playing your game are a few people who spend a lot, which is why the industry has notoriously been calling people whales. Yeah. People who were like me when I had a problem with Overwatch and I was spending $100 plus per event to get that many loot boxes because I'd be damned if I don't get every Diva and Mercy piece. Mm-hmm. So it was for people like that. And it was one of those things where I was on the it's just loot box, it's just optional thing until I heard some testimonies from other people and realized I too have been had. Now, whether or not you consider that just being fiscally irresponsible or your interpretation of, being had, what have you, I do feel like I gave it to my impulses, and I do have a bit of a problem when it comes to collecting in this sense, or, the mental strain it would bring on me if I had an incomplete collection. And the fact that they do have the wonky percentage chances for each piece being so random, how many times you get a duplicate, and you get like 5 $5 for it, which doesn't get you anything, is almost as if it is intentional, which it could be, and that's the thing. There was that, I forgot that, what's the name of that guy, Storm whatever, the guy who did that really insane TED Talk-esque talk about microtransactions and how to be as malicious as possible and how to take them for a ride and clean them out.
Oh man, I can't remember. It's like some Swedish name.
Some Swedish name, and it's insane. Like, it's a really good and bad talk at the same time, depending on how you're looking at it, where he basically talks about the ways to manipulate people. The reason that in our modern society, kids being called like default for their Fortnite default skins is the new age bullying that is actually getting. There was that kid who hurt himself or did kill himself, and I'm sure that's an instance of several that just aren't spoken about because there's so many that you could bring up, where this is the thing where, and they know that this is going to be the case, where the kids are going to, beg their parent to please get them well, what do you want for your birthday? I want the battle pass, right? Yeah. Or I want, whatever microtransaction in my game of choice is just starting to get out of control. And that is where the problem lies. They're optional on the surface, but when you create an environment in which you're almost, have a gun to your head to try to get these things because your kid's kicking and screaming, it was like when Fortnite, when they launched their current season, they had the prank where the Fortnite ended and kids went berserk and were like breaking TVs and like, I mean, there's parenting and a whole nother thing you can get into that. But people were freaking out, and then parents were like hitting up Epic Games and were just like, what happened? You stopped the Fortnite, whatever this is, and now my kid has gone insane. And you know,
it's lasted longer than a fortnight, and now this.
And so it's one of those things where we live in a society. And that's it.
Where Fallout 76 is a real thing.
Secret Joker review segment.
Oh god, so there's that. Oh god, the dogs are barking. So, Bethesda, Fallout 76 is still a thing. This has been Shubs and Bill Beats. We really do appreciate you guys stopping by. We know you guys have a lot of stuff you probably need to do before the tour, so we do really appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedule. We really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. It's been real. So
love this.
Word, thank you for having us.
Of course. For those of you guys who are still sticking around, we're going to have all the information on we'll have the link to their latest album, Conquest, as well as dates to their upcoming tour in the podcast description with the regular notes, where I make a bunch of bad puns and clickbait descriptions for you guys to look at the sources that we cite. And then we'll also get you guys down there, and we'll likely see you guys. We'll see you guys in Austin. I'm going to discuss it with these guys, but we'll likely see you guys in Austin. We'll hit you guys up. Probably, maybe we can try to coordinate getting a meal or something, or try to, see how early you guys get in town. Maybe we could bullshit around or something and go from there.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night. Appreciate y'all staying up with I don't even know if it's late or not, but yeah, close enough. It's late night enough for some people. Yeah. But I'm sure for us, it's just getting started.
Don't you mean it's Monday morning?
Monday morning.
Probably afternoon.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's about 1 p.m., 2 p.m. on Monday morning that this podcast airs. So you can catch them on their tour. Check them out on Spotify and all the music places. Do you guys have a site specifically that would be best for physical copies or anything like that you guys want to plug real quick?
So for physical copies, hit up noirgrime.bandcamp.com, and the Conquest will be right on there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're Shubzilla and Bill Beats on any social media, so find us. I'm not sure. We've also got a couple of other things going on too. So, like, if you're in the Seattle metropolitan area, we do have our monthly Friday night get down on Friday, November 8th over at Cafe Red. And we are also opening for Psalm 1, Angel Davenport, and DJ Show You Suck Wednesday, November 13th at Substation. So if you happen to be in the 206 within the next, 2 or 3 weeks, please find us, catch a show, love us, and buy our shit.
There you go. And you can catch us every Monday when this is totally live at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And until the next episode, we'll see you guys then. Until then, see ya.